this is Ariel. Bonjour. Welcome to my channel where we make fun costumes and weird stuff. Today we are finishing the fluffiest, pinkiest project ever, the Rococo dress. If you didn't see the first video, I made the base of an 18th century dress, 18th century inspired, in some questionable pink plasticky fabrics that I got for cheap from old wedding decorations. I am also way too excited about this, but I got my first sponsor. This video is sponsored by Skillshare. I'll talk about it later. I can almost see having a real YouTube job. That would be so cool. Okay, let's finish this. Let's start with the hem of our dress. I cut a piece of straight purple cotton to finish the bottom of the underskirt. This flower fabric is way too fragile and it will be completely destroyed if it brushes on the ground. There is gonna be a lot of ruffling on this project. Here is the first layer of ruffle, the front of the underskirt. All my ruffles are just straight pieces of fabric that I gathered on one side. A second layer of ruffle, this time shorter and in cotton. I'm using the selvage of the fabric to avoid making a hem. To add the ruffle on the overskirt, I first need to finish the edge at the front. For that, I just made a piece of straight grain binding in the same pink cotton. I'm sewing it by machine and it will be covered later with a little ruffle. The ruffle is made of a long rectangle of the striped polyester, so I need to hem that. For that, I'm using this special machine fit that does a little rolled hem. It usually works very well, but I had a bit of trouble with this fabric because the sheer stripes of that fabric are a bit stretchy, which caused me a lot of trouble to keep the tension of the fabric constant. So the hem is 90% good and a bit wonky. But that's fine, it's not going to be very visible. I marked where to put the ruffle, gathered the fabric, pin it and sew it. And the second layer of ruffle is made using the dress that I destroyed. Gathering it a little bit more, pinning it, sewing it. Ta-da! The dress is getting fluffy! Now the ruffle strips. I'm cutting a bunch of strips using my pinking shears. This will keep the edges from fraying. It is historical and I won't have to hem everything. Then you just have to make a row of long stitches in the center and you just have to pull the threads to gather it. Be careful when you gather because when the thread snaps, it is very annoying. I can sew it all around the front edge and then I can focus on gardening. So before attaching the decoration, I was thinking of adding maybe this, because I have a lot of it. In the drawing you see there are some leaves here, so that would make sense to have some foliage. What do you think? No? No. I really have a lot of fake flowers, but I don't want to keep the too obviously plastic parts. So let's do some gardening. These petals are too blue, and these ones are too orange. I tried using some red dye, but of course it didn't work on this very synthetic fabric, so I'm using red paint. I don't care if it makes them a little more stiff. That technique worked really well and I could control the intensity of the color. And even if the color was not perfectly homogeneous, it made the petals look more natural, so I was quite happy with this. To make the hydrangea balls, I cut circles into the flower fabric, under the supervision of a friend. I could pin my petals on those circles. When I was happy with the shape and the density, it was time to make a million of those. Actually 20, but you know what I mean. I'm making piles of 3 or 4 petals, and I pin them into a sort of gradient. They are sewn in place with a very tight zigzag stitch, which will be the center of my flowers. I pinned the circle in place with some pillow stuffing inside to give it a little more volume. And also the front ruffle needed to go in first. I just marked the placement with chalk and sewed it by machine. It is very Barbie now, but I think with the gradient and some bleach on this purple, I think it will look very nice. At least I hope. I added a bigger ruffle below the balls. And then I could fill the circles on the front decoration. Same technique as before, I just pinned the balls and stuffed the balls. And I added more circles on top of those to make them look more like hydrangeas. Hydrangeas.
Hydrangeas.
Ouais, voilà. Should I add a second row? I've been trying to practice a little better all the different tools that I need to showcase my work, and especially video editing and also photography. Understanding lights, how to use a camera not in automatic mode, which is why I'm super thankful that I have found Skillshare. Skillshare is basically an online learning community with thousands of online classes that cover a ton of different subjects. There is a huge number of skills you can learn, from photography to knitting, watercolor, to meditative writing, to YouTube thumbnails, and basically anything else you can possibly imagine. So for me, I've been taking this class by Amélie Stager on phone photography, how to shoot and edit conceptual photos in your phone. It has been so fun and a great way to practice photography, but in a funny way. If you're interested in trying out those classes, Skillshare is a great place for that. It's ad-free, so you can master your skills without the distractions of ads. There are new premium classes launches every single week, and if English isn't your first language, you can get Skillshare entire catalog in German, Portuguese, Spanish and French. Bonjour! If you're interested in joining Skillshare, you can click the link in my description, and the first 1000 people who click that link will get a 1 month free trial of Skillshare. Okay, back to work. Now let's decorate the underskirt so I don't see this ugly fabric anymore. I made again a bunch of ruffle with the pink cotton. And added 3 circles at the front. I only used the light petals for this one. And a little cotton bow. Now, sleeves! These flared things are called engageantes. I'm going to make 3 layers, 1 of cotton and 2 of organza from the purple dress. The thing with synthetic organza is that it is plastic and it frays like crazy. But an interesting part of it being plastic is that you can melt it. So since I want my edges to be a little more organic, I will be cutting it with a soldering iron. A bit of warning, this thing is hot! Usually the heat is twice as much as your iron, so really be careful. Don't ask me how I know this. You have to be quick, otherwise you will have a lot of black clumps of burned plastic. You can wipe those on a metal sponge. And also, melted plastic is not good for you, so please wear protection. No, really, it's really toxic. I put some baking paper underneath so it won't stick to the cardboard and the fabric melts instantly. I also made a few holes in a random way. so the whole thing will look a bit like lace, but in a flowery way. And I can sew all that to my sleeves. The long organza, the short organza, and the cotton. I also made 2 bigger organza pieces to add something like this frilly thing in the shoulders. I'm covering the seam at the sleeves with a little bit of straight cotton and making 2 tiny cute bows. The final piece I need to make is the stomacker. It won't be too complicated. It's just a triangle. I'm covering a piece of stiff canvas with the pink cotton ruffled at the center. I'm sewing it in the middle and I flatten it with the iron, cutting the excess, cutting the lining. I'm just adding a piece of tape to add a bone at the center. I'm sewing those 2 pieces together, leaving the top open. Then I insert a piece of metal boning. And I can close the top. I made 3 little bows for the front, and I'm just here adding a big flower at the center of each one. Okay, we are now on the final touches. I put a bunch of petals aside to fill the gaps and also help on the gradient effect. I'm also adding a bit of purple ones at the shoulder. And finally, I can adjust a bit of the color using some dye and some bleach. I'm just spraying some water on the cotton parts and I add a bit of red dye. It is very diluted, so it looks kind of pink, and I don't want it to be too perfect. My hope was for this to look a bit more like a watercolor, but in real life. I hope that one day I can make an outfit in all white cotton and just dye and paint the fabric, but not with the flat pieces. I want it finished on a mannequin and just paint it like a sculpture. Could be fun. Here is the bleach to make the purple a bit lighter. Do you want to know how to say bleach in French? Eau de Javel. I just painted it in a few places. Bleach is kind of risky because you don't really know how the color is gonna react. We are living dangerously here. See how the bleach worked? I'm just adding a bit more pink. I rinsed it in clear water, and when it was dry, I could attach back the bows. Could these pockets get me demonetized? Overall, I'm pretty happy that the whole thing cost me 45 euros, which was the price of the box with the decoration, and the rest was scraps from my stash. And I spent around 90–100 hours working on this, so if you were to have someone make it for you, that would be around 4,000 euros for information. I hope you enjoyed this build because this was a big one, guys. Come on, little like. Come on. Thank you. Enjoy the reveal.